My name is Mabel Rowe, and I am 73 years old. The night my son beat me, the house was quiet. Too quiet. The clock on the wall ticked slow and loud, like it was counting something important. My hands were shaking as I held my mug of tea. I remember thinking it tasted bitter, even though I hadn't added anything new. Then my son stood up, and everything changed. He raised his voice first, then his hand. Then the truth I had been running from for years finally caught me. Before I tell you what happened next, let me say this. If you love real, emotional stories about family, betrayal, strength, and survival, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss stories like this. And please tell me in the comments what country you're watching from. I want to know who is here with me right now. Now listen closely. Because what my son did that night, and what I did the next morning, no mother ever forgets. And the ending will shock you. It started with a question. "Where's my money?" he asked. I looked up from my chair slowly. My son Darren stood near the door. He was 42 years old, tall, strong, angry in a way that felt old. "I don't have your money," I said. He laughed, not a happy laugh, a sharp one. "You always say that," he said, "but I know you got something." I shook my head. "Darren, I told you, my check barely covers rent and food." He walked closer. One step, then another. My heart started to race. I had seen this look before, many times, but I always told myself it wouldn't go too far. Not with my own son. Darren came back to live with me 2 years ago. He said he needed time to get back on his feet. I believed him. Mothers always believe. At first, it was fine. Then he stopped looking for work. Then he started drinking more. Then he started asking for money. When I said no, he got loud. When I tried to explain, he got mean. But I kept telling myself, he's my son. He doesn't mean it. He's just stressed. That night proved how wrong I was. "Don't lie to me," Darren said, pointing his finger at my face. "I'm not lying," I said, my voice small. He knocked the mug out of my hand. It hit the floor and shattered. The sound made me jump. "Look what you made me do," he said. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely push myself up from the chair. "Please," I said, "just calm down." That's when he pushed me. Hard. I fell back against the couch and hit my side. Pain shot through my body. I cried out without meaning to. Darren froze for half a second. Then his face changed. Something dark took over. "You're always playing weak," he said, "always acting like a victim." He grabbed my arm. I screamed. Not loud, but real. "Stop," I cried. "You're hurting me." He didn't stop. He shoved me again, and I fell to the floor. I remember the cold feeling of the tiles on my cheek. I remember thinking, this is how I die. My own son stood over me, breathing hard, hands shaking. For a moment, I thought he might help me up. Instead, he stepped back. "Don't call anyone," he said. "You hear me." I couldn't speak. My body hurt too much. He grabbed his jacket, opened the door, and ran out into the night. Just like that. Gone. I lay on the floor for a long time. I don't know how long. Minutes. An hour. Every breath hurt. My side ached, my arm throbbed, my head felt light. The house was quiet again, but it didn't feel peaceful anymore. It felt empty. I slowly pulled myself up using the couch. I winced with every movement. I made it to the bathroom mirror and looked at myself. My face was pale. My arm was red and swollen. My eyes looked scared. I whispered, "Mabel, you can't keep doing this." I sat on the bed and cried quietly. Not because of the pain, but because I finally understood something I had been afraid to admit. My son was dangerous. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound made me jump. Every car passing outside made my heart race. I kept thinking Darren would come back. Angrier. Worse. When the sun finally came up, I felt tired but clear. Clear in a way I hadn't felt in years. I picked up my phone. I stared at it. My thumb hovered over the screen. I thought about all the times I had protected him. All the excuses I made. All the lies I told people. Then I looked at my arm again. At the pain. At the proof. And I made a decision. The next morning, I put on my coat and walked slowly to the police station. Every step hurt. But I kept going. Inside, a young officer looked up at me. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked. I opened my mouth. My voice shook. "My son beat me," I said, "and he ran out of town." The officer's face changed. He leaned forward. "Please sit down," he said gently, "and tell me everything." As I sat there, my hands trembling, I knew something deep in my bones. Once I told the truth, there would be no turning back. And when I signed that report, it would set off something far bigger than I imagined. Because the report I filed that morning would find him. The police station smelled like old paper and coffee. I sat on a hard chair with my coat still on, even though the room was warm. My hands were folded tight in my lap. They would not stop shaking. The young officer brought me a cup of water. "Take your time, ma'am," he said. "You're safe here." Safe? The word felt strange. I nodded and took a small sip. Then I began. "My son's name is Darren Rowe," I said. "He's 42, he lives with me, or he did." The officer wrote quickly. "What happened last night?" he asked. I closed my eyes. And I told him everything. How Darren came home angry. How he demanded money. How I said no. How his face changed. I told him about the push. The grab. The fall. My voice broke when I said, I thought I was going to die. The officer stopped writing. He looked at me carefully. "Did he leave the house?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "He ran, took his jacket, and left." "Did he threaten you?" I nodded. "He told me not to call anyone." The officer's jaw tightened. He slid a form across the desk. "This is a statement," he said. "I'll help you fill it out." I stared at the paper. White, clean, serious. This paper was different from all the lies I had told before. This one would not protect Darren. It would expose him. As I wrote, my hand cramped. My name. My address. The date. The time. When I reached the part that asked, "Who caused your injuries?" I froze. My pen hovered over the line. For years, I had covered for him. "He's just stressed." He didn't mean it. It was an accident. But none of that was true anymore. I wrote, "My son." The officer nodded. "You're doing the right thing," he said. I wasn't sure if it felt right, but it felt necessary. After I signed the report, another officer came in. Older, calm, serious eyes. "I'm Officer Grant," he said. "I'll be handling this case." He sat across from me. "Mrs. Rowe," he said, "we're going to take this very seriously." I swallowed. "He left town," I said. "I'm sure of it." "What makes you think that?" he asked. "He always said if the police ever got involved, he'd disappear," I replied. Officer Grant nodded slowly. "Do you know where he might go?" I thought hard. Darren didn't have many friends left. But then a name came to mind. "His cousin," I said, "in Ridgeway, about 2 hours from here." The officer wrote it down. "Anyone else?" I hesitated. "He used to talk about going west," I said. "Said nobody would look for him there." Officer Grant looked up. "We will," he said. They took photos of my injuries. My arm. My side. The bruise on my shoulder. The camera flash made me flinch. I'm sorry, the officer said gently. It's okay, I replied. It wasn't okay. But it was real. Proof. When I got home, the house felt different. Smaller. Quieter. The broken mug was still on the floor. I hadn't cleaned it up. I sat on the couch and stared at the door Darren ran out of. For the first time, I didn't hope he would come back. I hoped he wouldn't. That afternoon, the phone rang. I jumped. Mabel Rowe, a voice asked. Yes, I said. This is Officer Grant, he said. I wanted to update you. My heart raced. We've entered Darren's name into the system, he said. If he's stopped or identified, we'll know. Already? I asked. Yes, he replied, and there's something else. I held my breath. We found his car abandoned, he said, near the highway. My chest tightened. Does that mean? It means he left on foot or got a ride, Officer Grant said, but it also means he's moving. Moving. Running. Hiding. Mrs. Rowe, he added, has Darren ever hurt you before? The question hit hard. Yes, I whispered. Not like this, but yes. There was a pause. Thank you for being honest, he said. That helps us. That night, I locked every door. I barely slept. Every shadow looked like Darren. Every sound made my heart jump. I kept telling myself, you did the right thing. But fear doesn't listen to logic. The next morning, I heard a knock. Sharp, loud. My heart almost stopped. Police, a voice called. I opened the door slowly. Officer Grant stood there. We need to ask you a few more questions, he said. I stepped aside. As he walked in, he looked around the room. He lived here, he said. Yes, I replied. He nodded. He may come back, he said quietly. My stomach dropped. What? I asked. Sometimes, he explained, people who run come back to familiar places. Fear crept up my spine. But don't worry, he added. We're watching. After he left, I sat alone again. I thought about Darren as a boy. How I used to hold his hand, crossing the street. How I used to tell him, stay close. Somewhere along the way, he let go. And now, the world was looking for him. Because of me. That evening, my phone buzzed. A message. From an unknown number. I opened it. Why did you do this to me? My heart pounded. Another message came fast. You're my mother. Then another. You didn't have to ruin my life. Tears filled my eyes. But my fingers did not shake this time. I typed back one sentence. You ruined it when you touched me. I blocked the number. And in that moment, I knew. The report had found him. Not with handcuffs, but with fear. And what Darren would do next would prove just how dangerous running can be. The message stayed in my mind all night. Why did you do this to me? I did not answer again. I did not unblock him. I did not explain. For the first time in my life, I let silence speak for me. But silence did not mean peace. It meant waiting. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Darren's face hovering over me on the floor. I heard the sharp sound of the mug breaking. I felt the cold tile against my cheek. At dawn, I sat up in bed and turned on the lamp. My body ached. My arm was still sore and purple. My side hurt when I breathed too deep. But my mind was clear. I had told the truth. Now the truth was moving. Around mid-morning, Officer Grant called. Mrs. Rowe, he said, I wanted to check on you. I'm okay, I replied. I think. He paused. Did Darren contact you? He asked. Yes, I said. From an unknown number, I blocked it. That was the right thing to do, he said. If he reaches out again, let us know. Does that mean you know where he is? I asked. Not yet, he replied. But it tells us he's watching. That usually means he's nearby or worried. Worried. The word didn't comfort me. It scared me more. After the call, I cleaned the living room. I picked up the broken mug pieces carefully and threw them away. Each sharp edge reminded me of how fast things had gone wrong. As I swept, I noticed something missing. Darren's old backpack. The one he always carried. I hadn't seen it since the night he ran. My stomach tightened. What had he taken with him? Later that day, I walked to the corner store for groceries. I didn't want to stay trapped inside my house. The sun was bright. People passed me on the sidewalk, laughing, talking, living normal lives. I felt separate from them, like I was walking in a different world. As I stood in line at the store, I felt it. A presence. I turned slowly. A man stood near the door, wearing a cap pulled low. My heart jumped. For one terrible second, I thought it was Darren. But when he looked up, I saw it wasn't him. Still, my hands trembled as I paid. Fear had followed me outside. That evening, another message came. Different number. You think blocking me stops this? My chest tightened. Then another. I just want to talk. I didn't reply. I called Officer Grant instead. He listened carefully. He's trying to pull you back in, he said, to regain control. I won't answer, I said. Good, he replied. And Mrs. Rowe, please lock your doors tonight. I already had. Twice. Just before midnight, my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a message. It was a voicemail. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I pressed play. Darren's voice filled the room. Low, tight. You think you're safe, he said. You think hiding behind cops makes you strong. You forgot something, Mom. I know where you live. My breath caught. The message ended. I sat frozen, the phone heavy in my hand. He was running. And running had made him reckless. I called the police right away. Within minutes, a patrol car was parked outside my house. 2 officers stood with me in the living room as I played the voicemail. One of them shook his head slowly. That helps us, he said, a lot. How? I asked. Threats change things, he replied. They speed things up. That night, I did not stay alone. They took me to stay with a neighbor 2 houses down, Mrs. Ellis, a kind woman who hugged me tight and said, "You're safe here." I wasn't sure I believed it, but I was grateful not to be alone. The next morning, Officer Grant called again. We traced the voicemail, he said. It pinged off a tower near Ridgeway. My heart pounded. That's where his cousin lives, I said. Yes, he replied, and we're heading there. Hours passed slowly. I sat by the window at Mrs. Ellis's house, watching the street. Every car made my heart jump. Finally, my phone rang. Officer Grant's voice was firm. We missed him, he said, by less than an hour. My stomach dropped. He was there, I asked. Yes, he said, but he's moving again. Where? I whispered. We're not sure yet, he replied, but Mrs. Rowe, he knows we're looking. I closed my eyes. Running had made Darren sloppy, but it had also made him desperate. And desperate people make dangerous choices. As I hung up the phone, I felt it deep in my bones. The report had found him, but the chase had only just begun. I did not go back to my house that day. Officer Grant told me it was safer to stay away for a while, so I remained at Mrs. Ellis's place. She made me soup and sat with me at the table like we were old friends. Her kindness made me cry more than the fear did. You're doing the right thing, she kept saying. I wanted to believe her, but my body still shook when I heard a car slow down outside. By afternoon, the police had placed a patrol nearby, not always in sight, but close enough. Officer Grant explained it calmly. He's moving fast, he said on the phone. When people run like this, they make mistakes. I don't want him hurt, I whispered. I understand, he replied, but we need to keep you safe. Safe? The word felt thin, like paper. That evening, Danielle called from 2 towns over. She had heard what happened through family. "Mabel, you should come stay with me," she said. "Just for a few days." I opened my mouth to say yes. Then my phone buzzed. Another message. Unknown number. "I can see your lights." My heart stopped. I showed Mrs. Ellis. Her face went pale. She grabbed her phone and called the police before I could say a word. Within minutes, sirens cut through the air. Red and blue lights flashed across the walls. Officers spread out, checking yards and alleys. They found nothing. But the message had done its job. He had gotten inside my head. Officer Grant arrived soon after. He listened, jaw tight, eyes sharp. "This is escalation," he said. "He wants you scared." "It worked," I said softly. He leaned forward. "Mrs. Rowe," he said, "has Darren ever come back after hurting you before?" I swallowed. "Yes," I said. "He always came back, said he was sorry, said he needed help." Officer Grant nodded. "Then there's a chance he tries again," he said. "Not to apologize, to control the story." The words chilled me. That night, I barely slept. Every sound felt like footsteps. Every shadow looked like a man in a jacket. Just before dawn, Mrs. Ellis's dog started barking. Loud, angry. I sat up in bed, heart racing. Then I heard it. A knock. Soft at first. Then louder. My chest felt like it would burst. Officer Grant had warned me. Sometimes they come back. Police arrived within minutes again, but Darren was gone. This time, though, there was proof. Footprints in the wet grass. A cigarette butt near the fence. Tire marks at the corner. "He was here," Officer Grant said. "Close. Too close." By midday, the town knew. Not the details, but the fear. Neighbors whispered. Doors stayed locked. People glanced at me with pity and concern. I felt exposed. Like my pain had become public. Officer Grant sat with me at the kitchen table. "We're going to move you," he said. "Today." "Where?" I asked. "A safe place," he replied, "and we'll issue a warrant." A warrant. The word felt heavy. Final. "Will that find him?" I asked. He met my eyes. "It usually does." As they drove me away, I looked back at the street. The house where I raised my son. The sidewalk where he learned to ride a bike. The door he ran out of after beating me. I felt grief twist inside my chest. But I also felt something else. Resolve. At the safe place, a small, quiet building, an officer helped me settle in. They checked the locks. They showed me how to call for help quickly. I sat on the bed and stared at my hands. They were steady. I hadn't noticed when that happened. Late that afternoon, Officer Grant called. "We have movement," he said. My breath caught. "Where?" I asked. "He tried to use a card," he replied. "Not yours, a friend." It flagged. "So you know where he is?" I asked. "Close," he said. "Very close." I closed my eyes. My son was running out of places to hide. And when people run out of places, they make their biggest mistakes. That night, as I lay in the narrow bed, my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a threat. It was a picture. A blurry photo of my front porch. Taken from the street. My stomach dropped. Then another message followed. "You could stop this." I stared at the screen. For a moment, the old instinct rose up. Protect him. Fix it. Make it go away. Then I remembered the floor. The pain. The fear. I typed back one sentence. "Turn yourself in." I blocked the number. And in that moment, I knew. The next move would be his. And whatever he chose to do next would decide how this story ends. The warrant went live just after sunrise. I didn't hear the words myself. I felt them. Something in the air shifted that morning. like the world had taken a breath and decided not to let it out again. Officer Grant called me early. "Mrs. Rowe," he said, his voice calm but firm, "a warrant has been issued for Darren's arrest." I closed my eyes. I had known this moment was coming. Still, hearing it made my chest ache in a new way. "Does that mean you'll find him?" I asked. "It means," he replied, "he can't move freely anymore. Every step he takes is a risk." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. "Thank you," I said quietly. The safe place was quiet that morning, too quiet. I sat by the window with a cup of tea I barely touched. My thoughts kept drifting back to Darren as a little boy, running through the yard, laughing, skins scraped and knees dirty. How did we get here? That question circled my mind like a bird with nowhere to land. Around noon, the call came. "We got a hit," Officer Grant said. My heart jumped. "He tried to withdraw money using someone else's card," he continued. "Security cameras caught him." "Where?" I asked. "Bus station," he said, "2 towns over." I gripped the edge of the table. "A bus," I whispered. "Yes," he replied. "Looks like he's trying to leave the state." The words hit hard. Leaving the state meant disappearing for good. "You're going after him?" I asked. "We already are," he said. The hours that followed felt endless. I paced the small room, sat down, stood up again. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. Finally, near dusk, it rang. "Officer Grant." "We almost had him," he said. My stomach dropped. "Almost?" I asked. "He ran," he replied. "Left the station on foot when he saw officers." Fear crawled up my spine. "He's desperate now," Officer Grant added. "That makes him unpredictable." Unpredictable. I had lived with that word for years. That night, sleep refused to come. I kept thinking Darren would show up again, bang on a door, demand I fix things. Just after midnight, the phone rang. Unknown number. I froze. Then I answered. "Mom," Darren's voice said, low and rushed. "Darren," I replied, my voice steady. "They're after me," he said. "You did this." I took a deep breath. "You did this," I said calmly, "when you hurt me." Silence. "I need help," he said. I closed my eyes. "Then turn yourself in," I replied. "You don't understand," he snapped. "I can't go to jail." "You should have thought about that," I said softly, "before you touched me." He cursed under his breath. "I'm not a bad person," he said. I felt tears rise. "But you did a bad thing," I said, "and now you have to face it." Another pause. "I'm coming back," he said suddenly. My heart skipped. "What?" I asked. "To fix this," he said, "one way or another." The line went dead. I called the police immediately. Within minutes, Officer Grant was on the line. "He said he's coming back," I told him. Officer Grant's voice sharpened. "Stay where you are," he said. "Do not leave, we're moving units now." My hands shook. This was the moment I had feared. Outside, the night felt heavy. Sirens wailed in the distance. I sat on the bed, my coat on, my phone in my hand, ready. Ready for what? I didn't know. An hour passed. Then 2. Finally, Officer Grant called again. "We found him," he said. My breath caught. "Where?" I asked. "Near your old house," he replied. "He came back just like you said." I felt a strange mix of relief and sorrow. "Is he?" I started. "He's alive," Officer Grant said, "and he's in custody." I covered my mouth. Tears spilled down my cheeks. Not from joy. From release. The next morning, the town buzzed quietly. People whispered, doors opened and closed. Officer Grant came to see me. "He didn't resist," he said. "He looked tired." I nodded. "I am too," I said. He hesitated. "There's something else," he added. "He asked to see you." My heart tightened. I shook my head. No, I said, not yet. Officer Grant nodded. That's your right, he said. As the day wore on, I sat alone and thought about everything that had happened. The beating, the running, the fear, the chase. The report I filed had done what I never could. It found him. But the story wasn't over yet. Because the hardest part was still ahead. Facing him. And deciding what a mother does when justice finally catches her child. I thought the hardest part would be watching my son get arrested. I was wrong. The hardest part was knowing he wanted to see me. Officer Grant had said it gently, like he was afraid the words might break me. He asked if you would come, he told me. You don't have to, this is completely your choice. My choice. For most of my life, choices around Darren never felt like mine. They felt forced, pushed, guilted. But this time was different. I asked for time. That night I barely slept. My body was safe, but my mind was loud. I kept seeing Darren as a boy. Then as the man standing over me. Then running. Then tired and caught. All of them were my son. And all of them hurt me. The next morning, I woke up with a heavy feeling in my chest. Not fear. Decision. I called Officer Grant. I'll come, I said, but not alone. He understood right away. I'll be there, he said, and a counselor too if you want. Yes, I replied, I want that. The station was quiet when I arrived. Too clean. Too calm. They walked me down a hallway that smelled like metal and old paper. Each step felt like I was walking backward through my life. Officer Grant stopped at a door. You can leave at any moment, he said. Just say the word. I nodded. The door opened. And there he was. Darren sat at a small table, hands cuffed, shoulders slumped. His face looked older, tired, smaller than I remembered. When he saw me, his eyes widened. Mom, he said. Just one word. I sat down slowly. The counselor sat near the door. Officer Grant stayed close. Silence filled the room. Darren looked at his hands. I didn't think you'd come, he said. I didn't know if I would, I replied. He swallowed. I messed up, he said. I didn't mean for things to go this far. I looked at him. You pushed me, I said. You hurt me, then you ran. He nodded slowly. I was angry, he said. I lost control. That's not an excuse, I replied. He flinched. I know, he said. I didn't think you'd call the police. That's the problem, I said quietly. You thought you could hurt me and still be protected. He looked up then. His eyes filled with tears. You're my mother, he said. You always protected me. I took a deep breath. And it almost killed me, I said. The words hung heavy between us. Darren leaned forward, chains clinking softly. I'm scared, he said. I don't know what's going to happen. I nodded. I was scared too, I replied, when you were standing over me. He closed his eyes. I don't remember it like that, he said. I do, I said. He looked at me again. Are you going to drop the charges? He asked. There it was. The question I knew would come. I felt my heart pound. No, I said. His face fell. But I said I'm sorry, he said. I hear that, I replied, but sorry doesn't erase bruises or fear. He shook his head. You're choosing the law over me, he said bitterly. I leaned forward. No, I said, I'm choosing life. Silence. The counselor cleared her throat softly, but said nothing. I still love you, Darren said quietly. I closed my eyes for a moment. I love the son you were, I said, but I will not protect the man who hurt me. He started to cry then. Real tears. I watched them fall. And for the first time, I did not rush to fix anything. When the visit ended, I stood up slowly. "Take care of yourself," Darren said. "I will," I replied. "You should do the same." As I walked out, my legs felt weak, but my back was straight. Outside, the air felt fresh. I took a deep breath. Officer Grant walked beside me. "You did well," he said. "I don't feel like it," I replied. He nodded. Doing the right thing rarely feels easy. That evening, I sat alone and let the tears come. Not because I felt guilty, but because I was finally grieving. Not just the beating, but the son I thought I had. And I knew something then. This case was no longer just about catching Darren. It was about what happens next. What the system would do. What he would face. And what I would have to stand through. Because the report that found him was about to change both our lives forever. The morning after I saw Darren, the world felt louder. Not with noise, but with eyes. When I stepped outside the safe place, I felt them on me. Neighbors, strangers, people who knew my son, people who thought they knew me. Word had spread. Not the full truth. Never the full truth. Just enough to make people choose sides. At the grocery store, a woman I had known for years touched my arm. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I had no idea." I nodded, unable to speak. 2 aisles later, another woman looked at me coldly. "He's your son," she said. "Family business should stay in the family." The words burned. I pushed my cart past her without answering. I had learned something important. Silence had protected everyone but me. I would not go back to it. That afternoon, Officer Grant called. "The charges are moving forward," he said. "There will be a hearing." My chest tightened. "When?" I asked. "Soon," he replied. "And Mrs. Rowe, people may reach out to you." "I know," I said. He hesitated. "Some may pressure you to change your statement." I closed my eyes. "I won't," I said. The pressure started that same night. A cousin called first. "You know Darren didn't mean it," she said. "He was drunk." "That doesn't make it okay," I replied. Another call came an hour later. "He's going to lose everything," a family friend said. "Can't you forgive him?" I took a deep breath. "Forgiveness is not the same as silence," I said. They hung up on me. Then came the messages. Long ones. Angry ones. Guilty ones. "You're ruining his life. You're his mother. How could you?" Each one felt like a stone placed on my chest. But I kept breathing. Danielle stayed close. She came over with food, sat with me, listened when I cried. "You're not wrong," she said again and again. "You're just brave." I didn't feel brave. I felt tired. A few days later, the local paper called. They wanted a comment. I said no. My story was not for headlines. It was for survival. At the hearing, I sat quietly in the back. Darren did not look at me. When the judge read the charges, the room felt heavy. This was real now. Not whispers. Not messages. Not guilt trips. Real consequences. Outside the courtroom, a man stopped me. "You could have handled this better," he said. I looked him in the eyes. "I tried," I replied, "for years." Then I walked away. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I thought about how many times I had been told to endure. How many times I had been praised for staying quiet. And how quickly those same people judged me for speaking. I whispered into the dark. "I choose myself." The next morning, Officer Grant called again. "Darren's lawyer wants to talk," he said. My stomach dropped. "No," I said quickly. "You don't have to," he replied. "I just wanted you to know." "Thank you," I said. After I hung up, my phone buzzed. A message. From Darren. "Why are you doing this?" My hands shook. But my voice, when I spoke aloud to myself, did not. "Because you hurt me," I said. I did not reply. As the days passed, the town kept talking. Some people avoided me. Some brought food. Some said nothing at all. But something inside me had settled. I had told the truth. I had not chased him. I had not begged him. I had not lied for him. The report did its job. It found him. Now the world would decide what came next. And soon, very soon, I would be asked to stand and speak again. Not as his mother, but as the woman who survived him. The closer the hearing came, the quieter my world became. Not peaceful quiet. Heavy quiet. The kind that presses on your chest and makes your thoughts loud. I tried to keep busy. I folded laundry that didn't need folding. I wiped counters that were already clean. I counted my steps when I walked just to keep my mind from running ahead. But no matter what I did, the same thought waited for me. I will have to speak again. Officer Grant called 2 days before the hearing. They'll ask you to tell your story, he said. Just the facts, nothing more. I know, I replied. You don't need to protect anyone, he added gently. I closed my eyes. I won't, I said. After we hung up, I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at my hands. They were steady again, stronger than they had been in years. But my heart was tired. That afternoon, Danielle came by with groceries and news. People are talking, she said carefully. I figured, I replied. Some think you're brave, she said. Some think you're cruel. I smiled faintly. They thought I was quiet before, I said. That didn't protect me either. She nodded. Do you want me to come with you? She asked. Yes, I said, please. That night, sleep came in pieces. I dreamed of the living room floor. Of Darren's shadow. Of the door closing behind him. I woke up sweating, my heart racing. I sat up and whispered to myself. You survived. Then I remembered something else. Surviving once does not mean you are done surviving. The next morning, I met with a counselor assigned to help me prepare. She spoke softly, like she knew loud words could break me. They may question your memory, she said. They may ask why you didn't report earlier. I nodded. They always ask that, I replied. What will you say? She asked. I thought for a moment. I'll say I was scared, I said, and I was protecting the wrong person. She smiled gently. That's honest, she said. Later, a letter arrived. From Darren's lawyer. I didn't open it right away. I stared at the envelope, my name printed neatly on the front. The past used to scare me. Now it made me angry. I opened it slowly. Inside, the words were polite, cold, careful. They asked if I would consider reconsidering my statement. I laughed once. Not happy. Not bitter. Just clear. I folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. Then I put it in a drawer and shut it. That evening, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Mom, please. Just that. Nothing else. My chest tightened. For a moment, I almost replied. Then I remembered the floor. The pain. The running. I locked my phone and placed it face down. As night fell, I sat by the window and watched the streetlights flicker on. I thought about the town. How they watched me now. How they whispered. How some of them wanted me to be quiet again, because my truth made them uncomfortable. I whispered softly. I am not here to make them comfortable. Danielle called to check on me. I'm proud of you, she said. I'm scared, I replied. That's okay, she said. Brave people are scared too. After the call, I laid out my clothes for the morning. Simple, clean, comfortable. Normal clothes. I did not want to look strong. I wanted to be real. Before bed, I took out a small notebook. I wrote down the facts. Not feelings. Not memories. Facts. The date. The time. The words he said, the way he pushed me, the pain, the fear, the running. I read it twice. Then I closed the book. As I turned off the light, my phone buzzed again. One last message. From Darren. If you do this, everything changes. I stared at the screen. Then I whispered into the dark. It already did. I did not reply. Because the next morning, I would stand again. Not as his mother, but as the woman he hurt. And what I would say next would decide everything. The morning of the hearing arrived too fast. I woke up before my alarm, my heart already beating hard, like it had been running all night without me. The room was quiet, but my mind was loud. Every thought spoke at once. Stay calm. Tell the truth. Don't break. I sat up slowly and placed my feet on the floor. For a moment, I just breathed. In and out, in and out. I reminded myself where I was. I was not on the living room floor. I was not being shouted at. I was not powerless. I was still here. I dressed carefully, not to look strong, not to look weak. Just to look like me. A plain dark blue blouse, comfortable black pants, flat shoes, no jewelry, no makeup except a little lip balm to keep my lips from shaking too much. I looked in the mirror. My face looked older than it had a month ago, lines deeper, eyes tired. But behind the tiredness, I saw something new. Resolve. Whatever happens today, I whispered to my reflection, you will not lie. Danielle arrived early to drive me. She didn't say much, and neither did I. Some moments don't need words. As we drove, the town passed by like it always had. Same streets, same shops. But today, everything felt different. People were going to hear what had happened behind closed doors. And I was the one who would say it out loud. The building looked bigger than I remembered. Cold, gray, serious. As we walked inside, my legs felt weak. Danielle squeezed my hand. I'm right here, she said. I nodded. Inside, the air smelled like paper and old wood. People sat on benches, whispering. Some looked at me with pity, others with judgment. I recognized a few faces. Neighbors. A cousin. A woman from church. Some looked away when our eyes met. Some stared. I kept walking. When they called my name, my heart jumped. Mrs. Mabel Rowe. That was me. I stood slowly and followed the officer to the front. Darren was already there. I did not look at him right away. I didn't trust my legs. Then I lifted my eyes. Darren sat beside his lawyer. He looked different. Cleaner. Quieter. Smaller. His shoulders were tense, his hands folded tight in his lap. When he looked at me, his eyes flickered. For a second, I saw the boy he used to be. Then I remembered the man he had become. I looked away. They explained the process. Who would speak? What questions would be asked? That I should answer clearly and truthfully. I nodded at every word, though my ears rang. Then they called me forward. I raised my hand and promised to tell the truth. My voice shook when I spoke, but it came out. Please state your name, the judge said. Mabel Rowe, I replied. Your age? 73. Do you know the man seated over there? He asked, gesturing toward Darren. Yes, I said. How do you know him? He is my son. The room felt like it leaned forward. They asked me to explain what happened that night. I took a deep breath, and I started at the beginning. Slowly, clearly. I talked about Darren coming home angry, about him asking for money, about me saying no. I did not soften my words. I did not protect him. I described his face changing, his voice rising, the mug hitting the floor. When I said the words, he pushed me. My voice cracked. But I kept going. I told them about falling, about hitting the floor, about the pain. I told them how he stood over me, How he told me not to call anyone. How he ran. The room was silent. Did you fear for your life? The judge asked. Yes, I said. I truly did. Had this happened before? He asked. I swallowed. Yes, I said. Not like that night, but he had scared me before. Darren shifted in his seat. I did not look at him. Then the questions changed. Mrs. Rowe, the lawyer said, why did you wait until now to report your son? The question stung. I had expected it. Still it hurt. I looked straight ahead. Because I was afraid, I said, and because I was protecting him instead of myself. Some people in the room nodded. Some frowned. I didn't care. Were you injured? The lawyer asked. Yes, I said. I described the bruises, the pain in my side, the days I couldn't sleep. I described the fear that stayed even after he left. How did you feel when he ran? The lawyer asked. I paused. Alone, I said, and relieved, and ashamed that I felt relieved. The truth felt heavy, but it also felt clean. They showed photos. My arm. My side. The marks. I did not look away. The room shifted again. Then Darren's lawyer stood. He was polite, calm, controlled. Mrs. Rowe, he said, do you love your son? The question caught me off guard. Yes, I said quietly. Then why would you do this to him? He asked. I felt something rise in my chest. Not anger. Clarity. I did not do this to him, I said. He did this to himself. I only told the truth. A murmur moved through the room. Is it possible, the lawyer continued, that you misunderstood his actions? I shook my head. No, I said firmly. I did not misunderstand being pushed to the floor. Is it possible he was stressed? The lawyer pressed. Yes, I said, but stress does not excuse violence. Silence. Mrs. Rowe, he said, changing his tone, if your son is punished, it will affect his entire future. I looked at him. And if I had stayed silent, I said, it might have ended mine. That was the moment. I felt it. The shift. When they told me I could step down, my legs nearly gave out. Danielle caught my arm. You did it, she whispered. I nodded, tears burning my eyes. I wasn't done. But I had spoken. As I sat back down, Darren finally looked at me again. His eyes were red. He shook his head slowly. I didn't know what that meant. Guilt. Anger. Fear. I no longer tried to guess. The judge spoke. He said the words, serious matter. He said the words, clear testimony. He said the words, risk to safety. Then he said something that made my breath catch. There will be conditions, he said, and this case will move forward. Forward. Not back. As the room began to empty, people glanced at me differently now. Some with sympathy. Some with respect. Some with silence. I didn't look for approval. I only felt one thing. Relief. Outside, the sun felt bright. Too bright. I took a deep breath and leaned against the wall. Danielle hugged me tightly. I'm so proud of you, she said. I cried then. Not loud. Not broken. Just tears falling freely. Behind us, the doors opened again. Darren was led out. As he passed me, he stopped. Just for a second. He looked at me and whispered, you didn't have to. I looked him in the eyes. Yes, I said softly, I did. He looked away. And for the first time in my life, I did not follow him with my eyes. That night, I lay in bed exhausted. My body hurt. My throat hurt. My heart hurt. But I slept. Deeply. Because the truth had been spoken in a room that mattered. And tomorrow, everything would change again. Because this story was not over. Not yet. What would happen next would decide how my son was found by more than just the law. I woke up the morning, after the hearing, feeling hollow. Not empty. Hollow. Like something heavy had been removed from inside me, and my body had not yet learned how to stand without it. My throat was sore from speaking the truth out loud. My shoulders ached like I had carried something too heavy for too long and finally set it down. For the first time in weeks, the house was quiet without fear. No waiting for footsteps. No listening for angry voices. No checking locks again and again. Just quiet. I made myself tea and sat at the small table near the window. The sun was soft that morning, not harsh like the day before. I watched it touch the tops of the buildings outside, slow and gentle, like it was taking its time. I thought about Darren. Not the man in handcuffs. Not the man who ran. The boy. The little boy who used to hold my hand too tight when crossing the street. The boy who cried when he scraped his knee and looked to me like I could fix anything. Somewhere along the way, I stopped fixing him and started fixing the damage he left behind. My phone buzzed on the table. I didn't jump this time. I picked it up calmly. Danielle, you okay? I smiled faintly and typed back. I'm breathing. She replied almost immediately. That's more than enough for today. She was right. Mid-morning, Officer Grant called. Mrs. Rowe, he said, I wanted to update you. I closed my eyes and listened carefully. The judge approved the protective order, he continued. Effective immediately, Darren is not allowed to contact you in any way. A weight lifted from my chest. And, I asked quietly. And he's being transferred, Officer Grant said. They located him fully, no more running, no more disappearing. I swallowed. Found. The word echoed inside me. The report I filed. The words I spoke. The truth I refused to bury. It had found him. After the call, I sat very still. I did not celebrate. I did not smile. I just breathed. Because justice doesn't always feel loud. Sometimes it feels like silence, where fear used to live. Later that day, I went back to my house. For the first time since the night Darren beat me. Officer Grant said it was safe now. He walked me to the door and waited until I was inside. The house smelled the same. Old furniture, clean floors, familiar air. But it felt different. Like it belonged to me again. I walked slowly through each room. The living room where it happened. The couch I hit. The place where my mug shattered. I stopped and closed my eyes. I didn't see the violence this time. I saw survival. I opened my eyes and whispered. You didn't break me. I cleaned the house that afternoon. Not because it was dirty, but because it was mine. I threw away old things Darren had left behind. Clothes, papers, broken promises folded into objects. Each item I placed in the trash felt like a small goodbye. Not to my son. To the version of myself who kept hoping silence would save her. That evening, a knock came at the door. My heart skipped, but only once. When I opened it, it was a woman from down the street, someone I barely knew. She held a small bag in her hands. I just wanted to say, she said softly, I heard what happened, and thank you. For what? I asked. For speaking, she said. My sister is going through something similar. Seeing you speak up gave her courage. My eyes filled with tears. I nodded. That means more than you know, I said. After she left, I sat down and cried again. But this time, the tears felt different. They felt like healing. That night, I slept deeply. No dreams. No shadows. Just rest. The next morning, I received a letter. From Darren. My hands trembled slightly as I held it. Not with fear. With readiness. I opened it slowly. Inside were only a few lines. Mom, I don't know how to say this right. I'm angry. I'm ashamed. I'm scared. I still don't agree with everything, but I know now I can't run. I hope someday you forgive me. Darren. I folded the letter carefully. I did not tear it up. I did not rush to respond. Forgiveness is not a race. It is a journey. And I had just begun walking again. Later that day, I went for a walk. Slow, careful, steady. People passed me and nodded. Some smiled, some looked away. I didn't mind. I no longer needed their approval. I had my own. I stopped at a small park and sat on a bench. I thought about the title of my story. My son beat me and ran out of town. The next morning, I filed the report that found him. That was true. But it wasn't the whole truth. The whole truth was this. I found myself. I found my voice. I found my strength. I found my life again. And all it took was one morning where I chose truth over fear. Before I leave you, let me speak to you directly. If someone tells you to stay quiet for the family, if someone hurts you and expects forgiveness without change, if someone makes you feel small for telling the truth, please hear me. Love does not mean silence. Blood does not excuse harm. And speaking up does not make you cruel. It makes you alive. I am a mother. I am a grandmother. And I am still here. Because the morning my son ran out of town, I filed the report that found him. And in doing so, I finally found myself. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss more powerful stories like this. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? You are not alone.